once again, and welcome to the Hooligan Report. I'm your host, as always, SM, and tonight I'm joined by Cooksen.
Hello.
I'm joined by Bojan.
Hi, guys.
And for the first time this season, we're joined by Hatchy.
Hey, guys.
We had to get you on this week after Chelsea's interesting start to the season, mate. So what have you made of it?
I'm a bit in mixed minds because usually his first season mode usually has a sort of slow start most seasons, but then I think with the acquisition of Pedro, I think that's going to help a lot.
Well, he can't have done much better, can he? Scoring on debut.
A goal and assist, so could we have two apart from Williams crap finishing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
United fans, much regret about missing out on Pedro, or is there a bigger fish on the way in?
There'll be a bigger fish.
Bojan, I understand you had some news of your new star striker, I believe.
Oh, yes. New star striker. Fellaini's playing at number 9.
Ah, of course.
Breaking news, Fellaini will play at number 9 against Club Brugge away in the qualifier. He's going to play in front of Rooney.
Well, that's an interesting position for him, because he plays his best football when he's in an advanced role. And it's not as if he could be much worse.
Do you remember about 5 or 6 years ago when Everton's strikers went down and he played with Cahill just in behind him?
Yeah, and
they
he
just dominated. Yeah. So
I think even after Cahill left, I think he kind of stepped up as well in that sort of centre forward role.
Yeah, correct. Scored some good goals, bit in the air. Can I ask Hatchy, how concerned are you by how cooked your defence is at the moment?
I'm a bit. I mean, you have Terry and Cahill who are really slow, as you know. But then, if you start Zuma with one of them, Zuma can make up for that speed. But hopefully we get Stones, because Zuma is a bit aggressive and just punch the ball out of there, whereas Stones actually likes to pass the ball out.
Well, I mean, Stones, I think, was it this morning that came out the news that Stones had handed in a transfer request?
Yeah, he has, apparently, according to Sky Sports, so see what happens there.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting. I mean, if Everton... Because, I mean, I'm assuming Everton are still within their rights to not transfer him. I mean, the transfer request just means that he's no longer entitled to the loyalty bonus that I think most players get. So it will be interesting. I mean, I think, from my understanding, that Everton have another defender lined up from Brazil, is it? Or River Plate? Is that Argentina?
Argentina.
Yeah, I think he was in the stand for their game against Man City, so... they might have already been moving pretty quickly to find a replacement. Do you think this spells the end for Terry?
No, I don't think so, to be honest. It's just a slow start. It's a long season. He'll just get into it. I mean, he's getting old now, so you can't expect him to be at his game every week, so yeah, but mostly I reckon he'll be fine.
Yeah, it will be an interesting story over the season. I think there'll certainly be a lot of scrutiny on him. But we might move on. We might move on to the reviews of games now, and there was certainly a lot of scrutiny on Wayne Rooney against Newcastle, because he yet again fired a blank. Obviously, with the news now that Fellaini's taking his place,
Let's think about this. Fellaini in 10 minutes has scored a goal. Wayne Rooney hasn't scored in approximately... let me just see if I can bring up the stats. Approximately 28 hours.
Is that how long it's been?
Yes.
Jeez.
Approximately.
Well, yeah, we've got two United fans on, so walk us through the game, boys. How do you see it?
You damn it.
Yeah, it was an entertaining game. Disappointed we didn't score. Again, still lack creativity up front.
Yeah. We dominated the game. Outside of, we gave him that Mitrovic header was very good, hit the bar, and don't know how you pronounce it, Tholvan or Tolvan, could have scored late for them. But this whole storyline that Rooney, is past and is gone, is the biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever had in my life, to be honest. And excuse my French, but he scored, and it was onside on the weekend. And
yeah, that's true.
I spent 10 years in England, right? If that goal is not incorrectly ruled for offside, all the papers are running with Rooney's back, and he's leading the title charge. But because that's ruled offside, it's now, he's cooked. It's not happening for him. Van Gaal needs a new striker. So, but, we, again, control possession. Our defence is amazing, but we're just not incisive enough going forward. Still don't move the ball quickly enough. But that'll come.
Well, it is interesting that the weekend, the round of fixtures, I suppose, was bookended by 2 0-0 games where arguably they should have both been 1-0 victories to the home sides, because Arsenal also had a goal ruled out for offside from, I think it was Ramsey, who was played through by Cazorla, and replays showed that one looked pretty much onside as well. Did any of you catch that game and have any thoughts on that matchup?
Yes, Brendan Rodgers is a lying fish shithead. All you see is him going, no, it's a good decision, the linesman had good character to do that, all this crap.
Character.
It's like, they've essentially already gotten 2 dodgy offside calls already.
Is there anyone that Brendan Rodgers doesn't think has good character? He seems to think everyone, he's a good lad, he's a good sword, he's a good character.
Well, he probably...
Balotelli, yeah.
You can just imagine him in history class, reading about Hitler. Oh, the lad had good character.
Good character.
Strong passion.
Good foot skills. Cheers.
Good counter-attack.
I mean, it was a very mature performance from Liverpool, you have to say. I think, I can't remember who it was that made the comment that the Liverpool of the last few seasons might have gone there and played a much more open style of football and really gone for it and exposed themselves on the counter-attack to Arsenal. But they went there and they had their chances in the first half, but when Arsenal came knocking, they locked it down quite well. Mignolet produced a few decent saves, but so did Cech at the other end.
Cech was great.
Is he back?
Really good. I don't think he ever left. I just think there's a difference between the communication between what he's had at Chelsea for a decade and then, being paired up with a new back four. There's going to be communication kind of teething problems, and it's hopefully for their sake they're over that now. But
it wasn't
was
even Arsenal's starting 2 centre-backs. I mean, they had to make 2 changes in their centre-backs.
Well, that probably helps him, because if they've got new centre-backs coming in, well, the onus is on him now to dominate this area and be louder. He's not going to deferring to Mertesacker or to Shelny and that. So that probably works in his favour. Yeah.
Hatchy, how was it seeing Cech pull out a pretty decent display for your London rivals?
It looked like I remember that for sure. Good memories. That I didn't see the match because I was asleep, but I was looking at highlights of his great saves, and they were pretty damn good. They were back to his old days.
Yeah, well, it certainly looked like it. I mean, that stop on Coutinho was pretty decent, and I think was the other one Benteke right before half time?
Yeah.
So very easily could have been a couple of goals to Arsenal out of that one. To Liverpool, sorry.
Texting me afterwards, he said he had no fucking saving shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll move on to probably the most exciting game of the weekend in a sense, which was the Bournemouth victory over West Ham. And it was good to see Bournemouth get their first win in the Premier League, winning at 4-3. But, I mean, if you want to talk about a game having it all, this one pretty much did. I mean, you had red cards, you had 2 penalties, you had a bloke getting his first hat-trick in senior football. What were your thoughts on the game, guys?
It was pretty entertaining. I mean, Bournemouth do play a good style of football, and West Ham are now playing good style. So just probably credit to both teams. They came out said stop defending, let's play proper football, entertaining football. Unlike Jose. But yeah. But still, it's good to see.
I think Slaven Bilic might not last the season, you know. I think he's got a bit of the canio about him. He's a bit of a nutcase. And, you know, they go on the opening day of the season to beating Arsenal convincingly. And he chucks a 16-year-old in at defensive midfield who's a centre-half. And he gets the job done for him. And now they've been rolled by these minnows. And after losing the week before last, they're in a world of hurt defensively. I think they're in trouble.
Well, there were question marks over them in pre-season when they were struggling in Europa, and I think they've now had 5 or 6 players sent off, with another one last weekend. But after getting into Europa on fair play last season,
maybe they don't want to face Village at the end of the game, so just get the early shower done.
And well, I mean, West Ham could have equalised with the last play of the game, and I think it was highlighted. Might have been on Match of the Day I was watching, where they were highlighting the tactical naivety of Bournemouth, where Ritchie was running down the wing, and instead of taking it to the corner and sort of eating up the last few minutes of the play, he tried to cross it into the middle for an attack, which led to a West Ham counter-attack, and they basically ended up with a corner and could have won it with the final kick of the game, but Bournemouth managed to hold on. And it's one of those lessons where when you've won the game, it's a lot easier to cop the lesson and to learn from it, perhaps, than, you know, the other side of the coin, where if West Ham had equalised, and it would have been a pretty bitter pill for Bournemouth to have to take.
Absolutely. All that hard work for nothing.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how they progress from here. It's, you know, they hadn't scored a goal in the Premier League before the game, and they've now got 4 of them, so it might sort of get the ball rolling for them. They've got Leicester next week, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but that'll be a pretty high-scoring affair, I would think.
Absolutely, and that guy is it Callum Wilson?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was playing in like League 2 a couple of years ago. So he's really
surprise me, yeah.
He's really come from nowhere, and it's a feel-good story, I guess.
Absolutely. And we touched on it a little bit earlier about Pedro's great start, but Chelsea's victory over West Brom was anything but convincing, really. I mean, they really made hard work of it, with Terry getting sent off. Did you guys think it was a red card?
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, it was 2 yellows, right?
No, it was a straight red.
No, straight red.
Straight red.
Do you reckon it was a red card, Hatchy?
I've got no bias, but I don't think that was a red card offence, to be honest. I mean, bit harsh, sent off, and also got like 2. It was just out for the box, wasn't it?
Yeah, my first instinct was it was a penalty, but obviously just outside the box.
Yes. Yeah. So.
But a good...
He very touched him though.
Yeah, he did. I think... He what?
He just put him... He just knocked his shoulder.
I think that's it. Once there's the contact, though, I mean, you can argue that it wasn't reasonable contact, but when the player's presumably looking for the contact to go down, it's pretty naive from Terry, who, you know, he's not a newcomer to the Premier League. He should know better than to get into the player like that. And it was lucky that Chelsea came away with the win.
Lucky, yeah. I was just in the last 10 minutes, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that the early save from Courtois was a penalty. I think that really got our hopes up. And we just went on with it, luckily.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, you got Pedro on his debut with a goal and assist. Could have had 2 assists. But, yeah. Really good game, first half. Second half, not so much.
Let's face it, Pedro's no Neymar, so... Let's just think about this.
What are we thinking about, Cookie?
I'm just saying, we just didn't go over to negotiate with Pedro. Woody went over to get someone like Neymar, maybe Messi. You got to ask the question: buy a ticket, or else you can't win a raffle, unless it's at North Melbourne, in which case bring me with us.
Oh dear. We had Man City continuing in their winning ways against Everton on the Sunday night, winning 2-0 in the end, which is a pretty impressive win for them because they haven't had much luck at Goodison Park in recent years. And they've now made it 3 wins from 3, and they've scored, I think, 8 goals as well, without conceding yet. So it looks like they like their title challenge every second year, and they're looking in pretty good shape.
It's very, very concerning. What's most concerning about it is it's now 2 games in a row. Yeah, only 2 games. 2 weeks in a row where Moomba's posting about everyone riding off City and how well they're doing, considering no one had them in the top 4 and they weren't going to challenge for the title. I suspect we might have another 36 weeks of this crap.
Yeah, I'm going to have to eat my words, I think, before too long.
I don't it's just like, dude, don't drive it home every week, Moomba, please.
Just remember,
not everyone.
Let's be honest. They're one Aguero injury away because they don't win when Aguero's injured. We talk about how good their team is, but the reality is they're still a bit of a one-man team.
Yeah, it remains to be seen if Bonnie can really make that step up as their second striker, because I haven't seen anything from him in his time at Man City to convince me that he can do it. We all know his scoring record at Swansea, but he hasn't. He's only scored like 2 or 3 goals for Man City, I think. So it could just be the case of the player not really suiting the playing style, or I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, he's got a fair bit more to do to convince me.
And Yaya could go off the rails completely. As I says, they're leading the title charge now, but it's still a weak bunch of contenders compared to what you'd get a few years ago or anything like that.
I think at least, Company's in a bit of a purple patch as far as form goes, but they've got Otamendi now who'll come in and give them a bit of depth in the centre-backs. So they're not too reliant on Company keeping this sort of form up all season. I think Toure is definitely the big one. I'd almost say that he's dragging them over the line each week more than Aguero at the moment. And so if his form dips off, and Aguero isn't sort of being the prolific striker that he usually is, you're right. They could get a bit exposed by a side like Chelsea or Man United, who might pick up the pace a bit because they're certainly not in the best of form yet. But they do have the players to click.
It's still so early.
Yeah, exactly.
We've only had 2 bloody games. There's no team just maintains the same level throughout the season. And besides, is there African Cup of Nations at the end this year?
That's every second year, isn't it? So I think was the one at the start of this year?
I think.
Or was it the previous year?
I don't really pay attention. United don't have any players that do it, I think. So it's never really worried us. But if Toure has to go to that, that's a big out for them, and same for Boney.
Yeah.
No, it was on earlier this year.
Was it on last year? Oh, okay. So they don't have to go to that. But the fact is, no one maintains the same standard throughout the season. Everyone has ups and downs. So it's just about being on the upward trajectory at the end of the year, not now.
Yep, and a team that's certainly on the upward trajectory at the moment is Leicester, who are still sitting in the top 4 after another week, after another draw with Spurs. It was a pretty impressive result for them, because I think they equalised with Spurs only a couple of minutes after Spurs scored the opener. So they've got a bit of fighting spirit about them. They're hanging around the top 4 as long as they can, top 2 even.
There's Southampton of this year, I reckon, last year.
They're what, sorry?
The Southampton of last year.
Yeah. Could see
they
that happening. They've got a very decent squad.
Go well in the first half of the season until Christmas, and then just drop off, I reckon. When you see it happening.
I mean, when you talk to Friar-Tuck and Jats and you look at the depth that they have on the bench, and they made 11 changes this morning, I think, in the League Cup, which we'll go on and talk about in a little bit. And they still won pretty comprehensively with 11 changes. And, you know, a team doesn't do that unless they've got a bit of depth about them. So it'll certainly be interesting to see how they go over the season. But at this stage, I wouldn't say they're any threat of relegation.
I mean, but there's a reason why there's probably you got the 4 big clubs in City, United, Chelsea, Arsenal. You got Liverpool, Spurs, Everton underneath. Like they'll be top 7, but their best chance is finishing 8th. I mean, there's a difference between those two teams, and again, what Hatchy said, that this year's Southampton look good, but they hit the wall and they'll go down.
Yeah. Exactly.
I can't wait till we play him again. Jats is getting cocky.
Especially at the King Power.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Neymar and Bale running it. It's going to be cracking. They just need to get a bit of a reality check, I think. 6 or 7-0.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind bit of a humbling for
You
them.
wouldn't mind that, would you?
No, I wouldn't. So I'll ask each of you boys, what was the main thing that you learnt from this weekend's results? So maybe we'll start with Cookie.
Start Herrera. When in doubt, LBG, start Herrera.
Fair enough. Hatchy?
Must start Pedro over William every week. Pedro over William.
So if you drop Willian, does that mean that you'd bring Oscar back in a central role?
Yeah. Yep. I think so. Unless you put Oscar back in the pivot with Cooksen back it somewhere, and then put Willian in the centre besides Hazard and Pedro. But I mean, for me, Pedro must start every week.
Fair enough. And Bojan?
Was a couple of things I learnt, but the main one, it was more just reinforcing a view I've had for a long time now, and that's Ivanovic's tut. Terry's barely tut. Cahill was ordinary last year and shouldn't have made team of the year. He's tut. Dave's pretty good at left back.
Scored his first Premier League goal.
Yes, and I think after the weekend's performance, Chet stormed past Courtois.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Courtois did make a decent penalty save, which is probably his only positive mark for the weekend, but he was a little bit ordinary in the defending for the others. I mean, the header for their second goal was pretty decent, but could have done a bit better, I think.
Yeah.
So I'd agree on Czech. And I think probably the main thing I learnt was that Leicester don't look like stopping anytime soon. They came up against now to form Spurs, you can't really give them too much credit, but Spurs are still a decent squad, and Leicester just kept rolling with it. So it'll be interesting to see how long they can carry that on for.
What happened to Falcao, Hatchy? He looked like he's lost his ability to move. He's lost his movement. So not only could he not finish, he now can't move. Pedro had one on an absolute platter for him.
Yeah.
Almost as good as the one that Willian missed from 3 metres out.
Yeah.
And, what's going on?
I don't know what that. I think he's been scarred from United last year.
He was pretty decent last year till about Christmas, though. I mean, but after Christmas, he went from looking like a recovering footballer to, well, one of us out on the field, really.
Yeah.
A recovering alcoholic.
Speak for yourself, mate. I'm not saying that on the...
So you're saying you're better than Falcao?
Oh, look, yeah. Oh, I wouldn't even say that, to be honest. That's being pretty generous, but we had.
Falcao every week for me.
You need to start Falcao.
Falcao. I mean, let me have his second choice. You saw it you got 6 goals out of that 10 games last year. Pretty good return.
I'm surprised what Remy must be thinking, to be honest. I mean, he went to Chelsea because, it's a big club that's come in for him, and he would have expected a bit more game time than he's got, you would think.
Yeah. How you didn't put Remy on over Falcao on the weekend beats me.
That will be an interesting dynamic to play out. But we had League Cup action this morning, and there were a few pretty high-scoring games, and I think I do have to give a shout-out to Friar Tuck for correctly predicting Leicester's score against Bury. And I think everyone needs to start taking a bit of note of his predictions, because I think there's a bit of money to be made off his predictions. He's been pretty accurate so far. I think probably the biggest upset was maybe Watford going out to Preston and QPR getting knocked out by League 2 Carlisle United.
It's not a positive thing, this, because we've already done better than last year's Capital One Cup, so...
Did you go in the second round last year?
Yeah, because we weren't in Europe.
Jeez, I forgot about that. And you lost to, was it MK Dons?
Yes, 4-0.
I'm actually asking, I couldn't remember that, but yeah, so not bad for you guys, you're in the third round. Sunderland did pretty well over Exeter, winning 6-3, so that was a pretty high-scoring one.
Sunderland won?
Yeah, they won a game, and Defoe got a hat-trick, so I think the pigs are starting to fly up in the northeast. But we've got a few interesting fixtures in the third round. We've got Arsenal up against Spurs, and I think they played in the FA Cup only a couple of years ago in the third round, so they seem to have been drawn against each other a little bit recently. So that'll certainly be interesting. Who do United have? They've got Ipswich. Well, I mean, Ipswich will certainly be an interesting game for United, because Ipswich are doing pretty well in the Championship. They're right up the top. Do you guys reckon there's another chance for a cup upset for United this year?
Hope so.
Who've Chelsea got? Walsall. Oh, yeah, they should beat Walsall, I suppose.
Yeah. Brentford beat
Chelsea
in the FA Cup.
What was that? Sorry, Bojan?
It was Brentford that beat
Chelsea
in the FA Cup.
Chelsea have no youth.
Yeah.
They have concerning youth.
No, well, they've got plenty of youth. It's just not at Chelsea.
Well, it's not theirs, yeah.
Yeah.
Just ring-ins.
Yeah.
So yeah, they'll get rolled. They'll get rolled unless they played their first team.
German's pretty young. He'll still be youth.
Yeah.
Huh?
They've got Loftus-Cheek and those sorts of guys.
And Zuma.
Should be starting now.
And Zuma, yeah.
Yeah.
Loftus-Cheek's a gun. He should be starting now.
Well, he was on the bench
seriously.
against West Brom, and I reckon if West Brom hadn't made it such a close contest, Loftus-Cheek was probably in the plans to come on. If Terry hadn't been sent off, and who else had to be taken off? Was it Willian?
He was subbed off first.
And Costa.
Yeah, Costa was taken off for Falcao.
This is the exact reason. Like, he's got to play. And
Yeah,
it's the
you'd
exact
hope that
reason why United lost Paul Podra. I'm
That's
serious.
true. That's true.
Serious. You just got to throw these kids in at the deep end.
It'll be
And
interesting
to
to
be
see
honest,
if they get the
like,
chances. In that.
Fabregas was horrible. And, yeah.
So starts as well.
I'm well aware that Fabregas was horrible. He is absolutely spudding up my fantasy side, so he'll be out before too long, I think. Not happy. We also had results in the Championship over the weekend that I'll gloss over quite quickly, but a few sides maintained their undefeated starts of the season in Ipswich and Brighton, so they're sort of setting the pace, I suppose, in the Championship. So, as I was just saying, with United having Ipswich in the Cup, that'll certainly be an interesting game. And they play each other this weekend. So, and I think it's televised, so that's almost worth tuning in for, at least just to get a glimpse of the game, I think. It'll certainly be an interesting one. QPR are still... Oh, QPR have made their way back up to the top 6, I think, but so they've improved their form a little bit. But Burnley is still sitting about mid-table, so it'll be interesting to see if they can pick up the pace a bit as well and join Hull and QPR in the top 6, pushing for automatic promotion back to the Premier League. But there wasn't too much to talk about with the Championship this weekend, I don't think. Nothing caught the eye too much. Charlie Austin keeps scoring.
Any goalkeeping errors?
No, actually, he was quite good. We played Charlton and they got put through on goal. I think it was in the second half, and McGregor managed to come out and make a pretty impressive save to keep us in it. But we went down 2-1 in the 8th minute of stoppage time, which you don't see too often. I assumed it was because of the heat and the drinks breaks, but when I looked around the grounds and the other teams, they'd only had about 5 or 6 minutes of stoppage time, and they'd had drinks breaks as well. So, not sure where the 8 came from, but we only scored late to equalise, so I think a loss was pretty much what we deserved because we were pretty average for most of it. A highlight for us was that Mo Diarmi came back and played this morning in the League Cup. So if we can keep hold of him, he'll be a pretty important player for us, I suspect. Yeah, so that's about it. We can move on now and preview the next set of games because there's a couple of crackers, and I touched on before. We've got Bournemouth up against Leicester. Will be quite an interesting one and quite a free-flowing, high-scoring game, you'd think, from the form those two sides have shown so far this season. It's at the Bournemouth ground. I don't actually know what it's called, but do we say this is another chance of Bournemouth to get points, or are Leicester in just too good a form?
Too good form at the moment.
Yeah?
I reckon maybe they're really lucky to get a draw out of it, but I think Leicester will take it 2-1 or something.
Fair enough.
Yeah, sure. That's just...
Cooksen or Bojan, have you got any thoughts on it?
3-3 draw.
3-3.
Both teams can't defend. So, yeah, both teams can't defend, so it should be a very good game to watch.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to talk about high-scoring draws, we've got the early game, we've got Newcastle up against Arsenal, and another 4-4 draw wouldn't be too bad in that one.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
we don't, being United fans, haven't seen too many high-scoring games of late, so it'd be nice.
What's your thoughts on Liverpool mimicking United's form so far this season?
Forever in our shadow.
It was interesting. It is interesting that both sides have had very similar results, but
and yet United's form is really concerning, and Liverpool's signings are gelling perfectly. Yeah. Read the board.
Well, it was just a pity that Coutinho's consigned to the scrap heap now. I mean, he's clearly got no skill in him because he couldn't score against Czech. Just couldn't get enough skill on the ball. Yeah, no skill.
Nah,
it's just unfortunate for him.
Send him away. And, all this stuff about Firmino's, he's better than Depay, he's amazing, he's one of the best player in the league already. Has he even played yet?
I think he might have started again. Did he start against Arsenal?
He started against Arsenal, sure.
But he didn't look too impressive. I didn't see him do too much. So I think the jury's definitely still out on him. But talking about new signings, Thorven, I think his name is, you were discussing earlier with Newcastle. He scored 1 and set up 3 in their League Cup win this morning. So he's certainly looking like he's gelling already at Newcastle. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes against Arsenal.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts of him when he played against United?
He was impressive. I mean, Newcastle were impressive because I'm just so used to them bending over for us, which is what they do every year. it was a little bit annoying, to be honest. It's just a guaranteed 6 points, but which is a shame not going to have that this year. But yeah, like I've liked watching Newcastle for years, and they used to play back in the old days, and UFC title remember these days very well. The kind of Sir Bobby days and the Keegan days. It was just a free-flowing attacking football. They didn't really care about defence. But they cared a bit more about defence on the weekend, but they certainly tried to play good football.
So what are our score predictions for that one?
You'd have to back in Arsenal. I'll go for 3-1.
Was it Latro on the board? Was it Latro on the board who was saying, "Oh, it's away from home, so Arsenal will be able to score"? 'Cause I don't think they've managed to score at home in quite a few games now.
I think no, it'll probably be a 2-2 draw. I mean, Arsenal are flaky, and again, Newcastle, you just don't know what they'll do.
They've looked all right in their first couple of games, but except for their game against, I think it was Swansea, where they got opened up a bit with another red card. But apart from that, they've had a pretty solid start to the season. Looked pretty good against Southampton in the first week, I think. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see which Newcastle turns up for that one. The other big game of the weekend is probably Spurs up against Everton, which is the late game on the Saturday night. Everton's had an okay start to the season, but they'd want to bounce back pretty quickly after the loss to Man City, whereas Spurs, with only 2 points on the board, I think it is. Yeah, 2 points on the board and not that far outside the relegation zone. They'd want to be getting a bit of a move on, and Kane would want to be finding the back of the net.
He can find the back of the net at Old Trafford if he wants. Hand in your transfer request, mate. Come across, we'll look after you. He can get set up every week by Neymar. I mean, who would want that service?
Or Thomas Müller, strike force Müller, Neymar.
It's the sort of service strikers could dream of, and clearly you guys could dream of it, but I don't think it's going to be a reality.
Shut up.
And obviously in the final game of the week we've got United up against Swansea, which is obviously a bit more of a talking point for you guys. Your Swansea have caused you a bit of trouble in recent years. I think they beat you start of last season. Did they do the double last year, or was it in one of the cups that they beat you as well?
No, they did the double
last year. And they beat us in the opening day before as well.
It won't happen this year, though.
And why is that?
Because when Herrera went off, we lost in round 1, and he didn't play the full game when we went there. So he'll play the full game, we'll smash these fuckers, and we will split. Have faith.
Oh, jeez. Hello, kiddies who are listening in. Just don't repeat everything you hear on the Hooligan Report. Score predictions then?
With good philosophy.
Oh, always good philosophy.
Flaney with a hat trick?
I'll be delighted with 1-0.
Well, I mean,
just to get away from 3 points.
Yeah, Swansea are a bit of an interesting side to watch this year with Ayew and Gomez. Gomez has certainly started well. I mean, watching him last season, you wouldn't have thought he'd find this sort of form, because I think over his first 10 or so games with them after Bonnie left, he was really struggling to find the back of the net with any sort of consistency, but he's certainly started this season in form.
Yeah, they look good. They play, attractive football, and they've got some X factor, and it's always a hard game down there in sheep country. So, and for some reason, United just can't get the job done down there. But I'm hopeful we go through the whole season without conceding. And considering we keep about 80% possession, and we've got the two best centre halves in the league, Blind and Smalling, and the two best fullbacks. So I find it pretty tough. I mean, it doesn't matter. Best defensive mids. It doesn't matter if De Gea leaves, because Romero doesn't have to make a save.
Yeah. Just Just because Ramiro looks scared 24/7 does not mean he's average.
I'll put it to you guys. Man City, United and Liverpool are the only sides yet to concede a goal. If either City or Liverpool were going to go through the season without conceding a goal, which would you prefer it to be?
Liverpool, because they won't be able to score.
Yeah, same.
It is interesting that it's those three sides. Bit of animosity between them, I would suspect.
No, two of them are bitter that we're better than them in every single way. One of them got left in the 80s, and the other is a Middle Easterner's play toy. Meanwhile, we're just poodling along, being superior.
I think for the first time in a couple of years, the Manchester derbies this year are going to be absolute crackers. So I can't wait for either of them.
We'll bore them with the philosophy.
In probably a lower key derby, we'll finish off with talking about Chelsea up against Crystal Palace to give Hatchy a bit of a chance to chat about his mob. Jednak got injured this morning, which isn't great from an Australian point of view, and we'll touch on the internationals in a second. But confident of making it 2 wins in 2 games, Hatchy, or slow and steady?
Yeah, I reckon that win would have keyed for more wins, so I think we'll go on with it. But although, then again, Pardew has a good record.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah. I mean, last year in the match that won the league for us, Hazard just got a goal in the last few minutes from a penalty.
That's right. There was the iffy dive on that one, I think.
Yep. So I reckon that might be a close one, that's for sure. I'll take a 1-0 win any day of the week. Just get a clean sheet.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been very uncharacteristic of Chelsea so far because I don't think you've kept a clean sheet yet, have you?
No, not yet.
No.
First week. Yeah, clean sheet there. Yeah, no, not yet.
So that'll certainly be an interesting one as well. But we'll close with just a very brief chat about internationals because I know Friar Tuck and a few others are probably looking forward to the international break and a couple of qualifiers. And I think Australia's got a World Cup qualifier coming up. I haven't actually looked at it.
Against the might of Bangladesh.
Oh, Bangladesh, of course.
Our mortal enemies.
Yeah, huge game. And Euro qualifiers are on as well, I presume?
Well, yeah, I think they are too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't be... to be honest, I haven't looked into it too much, but what do you guys hope for when it comes around to the international break? I mean, obviously, you don't want any injuries, but are you looking for lots of game time for the players to kind of keep them in form, or do you want basically them to get a bit of a rest? I mean, what's your preference?
Well, we want Australia to win.
Yeah.
That goes without saying.
Yeah.
You want your players to play well, get a bit of form,
Rooney to bag a hat-trick?
If he's playing a shit team, hopefully... Who's he playing anyway? Switzerland.
Oh,
well,
Shaqiri.
I want to score 1.
Send her off.
Shaqiri's going to score a worldly against England, I'm sure.
You want to see our Belgian lads play well? Get Januzaj, Fellaini.
Belgium must be playing someone half decent because they're in Ireland and Germany's group, I think, and Scotland.
They've got Wales, Israel, Cyprus, Bosnia, and Andorra.
Oh, who's in? Oh, sorry, I'm thinking of Poland. That's right. I mean, Wales have started pretty well, so.
I mean, those are two countries that get confused quite a lot. I mean, Belgium and
Poland are very confused. Yeah, they're very similar countries.
Right next to each other.
Well, to be fair, they both got rolled over by Germany in World War II. I don't know why that's a...
Showed great character.
Yeah, showed great character. The foot skills from Hitler were just too much for them. Well, I think on that quality note, we might sign off for the evening. Were there any closing thoughts from you boys?
Just remember, despite Hitler's great foot skills, he lost out to an English player, a Russian, and some French technicians.
Yeah, that's true. Bojan?
I just want to see an entertaining Manchester United win this weekend. It's been a while. I think I'm due.
Quickly, what's everyone's thoughts on Celtic being knocked out of the Champions League already?
It's good.
I don't care less. It's only Celtic.
I get a strange satisfaction from watching them fail. Maybe because they beat up on the other Scottish teams so much.
Yes.
They complain about there being no competitiveness, but they buy all the players. I mean,
Yeah.
The Bayern Munich of bloody Scotland.
minus the alcoholic charm and Basti.
And I think their captain's basically given out a "come get me" call to anyone that'll want him. And I think Southampton are closing in on him from memory. but I'm not
Virgil
sure.
van Dijk.
Yeah, I think was there some rumours that Southampton were trying to sign him?
£10 million.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that'll be an interesting one. Anyway, thanks very
You
much.
probably didn't hear about it because of all the talk about Neymar coming.
It's been swallowed up by the bigger news story, hasn't it? Anyway, thanks very much for coming on, boys.
No worries.
No worries, mate.
Thank you everyone at home for listening in. I hope there are no Germans who are too offended by the podcast this evening.
We love Basti.
So I think next week's the international break, but we'll be back. We'll have a podcast next week to review the games from the weekend. And until then, we'll see you on the forums.